मूकं वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ईश्वराम्बा सुतः सत्यं नित्यमङ्गलकारणं वेङ्कावधूतसंकीर्तं वन्दे सायं जगद्गुरुम्। Offering my most loving salutations at the feet of my beloved Guru and Lord Swami, and offering also my respected loving Sai Rams to all the elders, the teachers, parents and the children present here. I would like to thank Brother Pai Padmanabhan, Sister Lakshmi and all of the organizers who have invited me today on this very important day in the lives of those of us who have been coming to Swami and trying to practice his message. But before I do that, I would like to remember one conversation that I had with Swami in an interview room that he had with his infinite grace granted us. I had gone to a talk, I think it was in Nebraska, many years ago, and I was introduced as very kindly Brother Padmanabhan has just done, and I continued with my talk, and it went on for it was for an hour or so, and in that audience there was an old, or should I say, a Sai devotee. He was an old-time devotee of Swami's. I was there in the audience. I had talked to him for a few seconds, and then I came up and I just went ahead with my talk. This was about in the month of July or something like that. And I didn't go to India that year for some reason. The following year, I went to India in the summer. I usually went in the summer because I was a teacher and the schools are closed in the summer. And Swami asked me to come into the interview room, and I must say, I was very disciplinedly sitting in the crowd. I was not in the cafeteria. I will tell you the reason for my being in the cafeteria in a minute, which Brother was just saying. He called me into the interview room, my parents were there, my husband was there, my children was there, and as soon as I sat down, he asked me a question. Is it easy to find God, or is it easy to find Bhagavatas, good people, good devotees of the Lord? Which is easy? And of course the answer that I gave him, which was completely shot down by Swami, I said, Swami, it is difficult to find God. You find a lot of devotees. We go to the Sai centers, we go to the temples, we go on the pilgrimage. But it is difficult to find God, Swami, unless we do sadhana. And Swami shook his head and he said, no. Because God is very easy to find if you go within yourself, because He resides in your heart. It is for you to go. But it is much more difficult to find a Bhagavata, a good person, a devotee who serves the Lord with a complete Tyaga Bhava, with self-sacrifice, and the only intention is to serve the Lord through others. And he said, there was such a person that day when you gave your talk last year, but you did not address him in your talk. So today, I do not want to make that mistake. I know that there are a couple of people here that I am very, very privileged to be in the presence of. There is Auntie Zaveri, who just walked in, who is a great devotee of Swami I know from Mumbai. She is 90 years old, as she likes to say. But I know that she has served the Lord for many, many, many years selflessly when she was in India. She was my mother's contemporary in the SSSC work, and I am really honored that she is here today. I am also honored to see Uncle here. who has come from India, and I'm honored that he's here, and he's here to listen to my talk, and I would not make the mistake of not mentioning him, but continue talking without saying that. Thank you, Uncle, for coming with Sujana and Ramesh. It is so nice to see you. I remember his father too, who used to be in Bangalore, and Swami used to be very fond of them. So I'm very happy that they are here. Having said that, you know, Uncle, Brother Padmanabhan just mentioned my little naughtiness in being the cafeteria when Swami called me for the interview. Actually, what had happened, and I've done that 3 times and gotten into trouble 3 times with Swami for this. Swami would come out to give darshan, and he would call a few people for darshan, for the interview, and take them during the darshan. And in those days, this was much before the bhajan started, so he would come around 8 o'clock, and he would take them into the interview room. And once he had picked the people for interview that day, you know, that was the end of the interview thing, and then the bhajan would start a little bit later at 9 o'clock. So once the interview had finished, the bhajan would go on, and Swami would finish the interview, send those people out, enter the bhajan hall, finish the bhajan and go. So the time when he called the people for interview and the time that the bhajan started, there would be a little bit of a gap. And all of us, having gone for darshan without having coffee or having a breakfast or something, we would rush to our room in West Prashanthi to have a cup of coffee and eat something and come back and sit down, because we knew that the interview calling time was over. You know, he has already picked the people, they've all gone in. And you know, this is the discipline that Swami wants us to practice. You have gone there for a specific purpose. You have gone there for a darshan, or you have come to the bhajan for a specific purpose. You have to have the discipline to sit there quietly and do your namasmarana or listen to the bhajans or whatever, rather than trying to fulfill your desire for coffee, which was usually my mother's and my weakness. So that day we had actually gone to the room to have a cup of coffee. We said, anyway, the interview people have been called, the bhajan is going to start in 15 minutes, we can just go back and sit. And that was when Swami sent word through the Sevadal and said, where are those people? And as soon as he called my father and my husband and my 2 sons inside, and he had closed the door, and the Sevadal people had said, Swami asked me. So I just walked over and the door was closed. And I said, you know I'm going to get a scolding, but might as well go in and get the scolding. So I knocked on the door, and he opened the door, but actually he was very sweet. He said, coffee, 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 Epudu coffee. He said, all the time coffee. And you know, my mother was older and she was still coming behind me while I had gotten there before me. But he is this wonderful guru who teaches how to be a good teacher. You know, today is Easwaramma Day. The children, I must congratulate the teachers as well as the children for having put up such a beautiful program where they have completely brought Swami's life to the time when he declared his avatarhood so beautifully in little scenes. Very, very, very nicely done. As far as, Brother Padmanabhan was saying, we are a young center and we make mistakes and we will learn from them and improve. It is true. The whole purpose of becoming a devotee of any guru is to improve ourselves, to become better. That is true. But the guru himself is very loving and very forgiving. He will not worry about it, but he is happy that we have taken the trouble to do that. So I thought I will share an incident from my own guru days with you when I was teaching Balikas. I was just 14 or 15 years old when Swami suddenly picked me up and said, you are going to be the teacher from tomorrow. So I started to teach when I was 15. And before I do that actually, today being Easwaramma Day, you all saw the pictures of Mother Easwaramma, Swami's mother. And all of us are very familiar with her picture and we celebrate and remember her on May 6th. But for me, she was a very live, kind, wonderful lady. She used to be my babysitter in Puttaparthi when I was a baby, when I was a child. So I thought I should share that with you. For those of you who have been to Puttaparthi, the side where the ladies enter is the VIP gate as they call it, and now they have that huge monitor on which they show all the programs. In that spot there used to be a banyan tree with a concrete bench kind of thing around it. You know, in India they build it around the tree so that you can sit under the tree for shade, in the villages especially. So that was that little concrete wall around the tree, and it was quite wide. And whenever we went to Puttaparthi as kids, Swami would, there was no specific interview time in those days, there were only a few people there. But Swami would talk to us, he would call us for a little bit, and then there would be bhajan. Swami would usually spend the whole day with us. I remember, in fact, when I was very young, one of my grandmothers saying, "Nu konta se room popa," he would say, "For a little while, please go to your room," to Swami. Because otherwise, they could not wash their clothes or do the dishes or cook or anything, because Swami would be there with them all the time. And they would have to go to the Chitravati to wash the clothes. So she would say, "Can you please go to the room for a little while so that we can go and do our household work here in Puttaparthi." So those were the days. And at that time, when Swami sometimes used to call the elders in for to talk to them, or during the bhajan time, we kids used to get very restless because it was an all-day thing. We would be up at 4 o'clock and we would all be quite naughty, and all my cousins and all of us playing over there. So Easwaramma would take us, all the children, together under this banyan tree. And I remember, always used to have peanuts and jaggery pieces, So she would gather us there and she would tell us stories from the Ramayana, and we would say, "You tell us when Swami was a little boy, what did he do?" And she would tell us how when he was a little boy, he would take out things from that bag that, they were just describing in the play and give it to all the children as prasadam. How she was so sad when he suddenly said, "I belong to the world to do a lot of work. I don't belong to one family anymore." She would tell us stories about that, and we would sit with her and listen. And she was a very, very kind and loving grandmother kind of a person for all of us. She was always there telling us stories, and we grew up kind of listening to Swami's childhood days from her directly, actually. Very, very sweet and very nice person who would always give us peanuts and jaggery to eat while we waited for the bhajans to get over. So that was the kind of Easwaramma I remember whenever I see that picture. And when I was about 14 and the organization was still new, and Swami formulated the whole Sathya Sai organization, and the curriculum for the Balikas was being discussed and everything, he told a few of these ladies, "Why don't you gather the children around your house and start a Balavikas program for the children?" And it doesn't have to be a devotee or anything. Any parent who would like their children to learn some good values, gather them, tell them stories, teach them some slokas, teach them some bhajans. So my mother and about 8 or 9 ladies who were all sitting in Vrindavan one day, Swami just called them and said, "What are you ladies doing in the house, wasting time? Why don't you get your neighborhood children and start this?" So that's how the Balavikas program started. These 9 ladies, I remember some of the names. My mother was Mrs. Kamala Padmanabhan, there was Mrs. Natarajan, Saraswati Natarajan, several of these ladies, Shanta Divakar, all these people, they went and they started small Balavikas programs in their areas. And my mother started, and most of the people in the Balavikas were my friends. I got all my friends together. My mother was an amazing storyteller. So she would tell a lot of stories, and she was not a very good singer, so she would get somebody to sing a few bhajans to teach the children. So it went on for a while. Swami used to come very regularly to our house. And one particular visit, I think about a year or year and a half into this, the organization was made. They had created a state Balavikas program, and they were choosing coordinators to run the program. And he had come to our house for dinner, and he was just sitting on the chair and talking to everybody, all the relatives who were sitting there. And suddenly he said, "Kamalama," to my mother, "you take over the Balavikas program in the state of Karnataka, and you go from the small towns and villages and gather the ladies to start doing Balavikas classes. You go." By that time, my mother's class, which she had started about a year ago, had about 25-30 kids. And she said, Swami, if I go there, there is no teacher to do my class because there was no SSSC training like we now have. Our national coordinator, Sumana Murli, doing such a fantastic job. I heard she had come here and trained a lot of teachers here. So at that time, there was nobody. And she said, who is to do the class, Swami? I'm doing it every week. She used to do it on Fridays. There's nobody to do the class if I go, but she was, Swami said you have to go around the state of Karnataka and do it. And we were all sitting there. I was in my 9th grade or something, 14 years old. And he said, he said, she will do it. So everybody, I had a whole lot of cousins sitting behind me, and I was like, oh boy, you got stuck now, you're going to be a teacher. And Swami said, why are you looking at everybody? I'm talking to you. And I said, me? He said, you. I said, I cannot teach, Swami. All the kids in the class are my friends. Who's going to listen to me? They're all like 7th, 8th, 9th graders who are with me. Who's going to listen? I said, you do it. All your life you have been listening to stories from me. All your life you have been learning bhajans and slokas and this and that. You do it. Amma will do the Karnataka state. So, overnight I became a Balavika's guru, and when Swami went, after talking to everybody, went inside to have dinner. Usually after dinner he would call a few people and talk to them after the dinner was over, and he asked my father to call me. I said, Swami, I cannot do that, nobody will listen to me. And Swami gave me a beautiful piece of advice. He said, this whole world is a drama. Everybody is playing a role. So, when you become a Balavika's guru, you become a guru. You behave like a guru. You practice what you are telling the children. You wear clothes that are suitable. Then you tell the children how to dress. You become that part. Now you have played the part of a child in the class. Now you play the part of a teacher. And you start teaching, and I will help you whenever you need. So I became a guru overnight at the age of 14. And here was my mother traveling all over Karnataka. And in those days, and this is like the very early 70s, and when you went down into small towns, the women were all housewives mostly. They were not used to coming out and taking training programs and running classes and all that. They were all very simple ladies in these small towns. And most of the Sai work and organization was being done by the men. And Swami had specifically said that the Balavika's program should be done by women in the beginning, because it comes much more naturally to mothers. Because if a mother, if the child is giving you trouble to eat, you will find some story to tell the child to make the child eat. So it comes naturally. So my mother would go and actually meet the men in the village first and try to convince the men to send the women for this job. And then once they had agreed and they had gathered a few women, she would make another trip and train these ladies. And there was no formal training yet. So she would just tell them, why don't you teach them some slokas? All of you know prayers and bhajans and whatever it is you teach. So that's how the program, the early stages, it started. And one incident I remember very clearly that happened to my mother as a Balavika's guru and state coordinator. Swami, when you take a particular job, whether it is that of a guru or it is that of a bhajan singer, we had that beautiful singing by Sister Geetha here. Whatever commitment that you give, Swami expects us to give 100% commitment. In fact, once he told my sons Arun and Varun, who have grown up in this country, they said, Swami, because they were trying to whenever there was a Super Bowl or a football game. Like many of your kids, I'm sure, when they were in middle school. So they said, Swami, Mummy does not allow us to watch football. Because he said, does your mother give you a lot of trouble in the interview room? And they said, yes, a lot of trouble. So he said, what does she do? He said, she doesn't let us watch football. She says we have to go to the bhajan on Sundays. So Swami said, is that true? Will you really do that? You don't let them watch football? I said, no, Swami, they are committed to coming to the center. One sings, one plays tabla and all that. Because I really started to think, oh my gosh, am I doing something wrong? I'm being this really bad mother, not letting my children do whatever they want. Because that is the slogan here, right? We should let the children whatever they want. So I said, oh my gosh, I must be like this, the worst mother in town, And I said, really? And he was totally on the children's side. He said, really? You don't let them watch a football game? And Swami thought it was soccer actually. That game in the worldly way. I said, no, not over here. Swami made all these noises in the room. He says, really? I never heard of such a mother who makes the children go to the bhajans instead of watching football game on the TV. Is that what you do and all that you make this big drama? What else does your mother do? She's there. So now the kids were in 7th heaven, they were in 5th grade or something. Like, here is Swami giving it to my mother, Nobody ever tells her. So he says, yes, Swami, she's very strict, Swami. She doesn't want to let us watch TV. We have to go to the bhajan. We cannot go to sleepovers. I mean, there was a list of complaints that they had, a big laundry list. He said, Andru just come to America. They all do that in America, right? They go, yes, Swami, all my friends do all this. We are the only weirdos who don't do this. The only weirdos. So this whole drama was for about 6 or 7 minutes where I am becoming smaller and smaller mentally. I'm in for some reason. He said, Manchi pani chesa. You did the right thing. He said to me. And he told the children, you are complaining on your mother who is trying to build your character. You are complaining about her to me. She is building your character. And you are saying she won't let you on TV చూస్తే కళ్ళు పోతుంది. He says if you watch TV for too long, you will lose your eyes. You listen to that horrible music that is beyond anybody's ability to listen, your ears will go. You talk too much to your friends and they teach you all sorts of bad things you eat and call that sweet vada. That is the donut. A sweet vada tintara, anta bad diabetes. You get diabetes eating that donuts. But kids for the life of them couldn't understand what sweet vada Swami was talking. Sweet vada thinta. Because it has a hole, right, like the vada. So he called it sweet vada. It's anta tini, anta hopeless. Manchi panchesapu Geetha ma, you did a very good thing. Do that more. Keep it more strict. He said. But he gave a beautiful sentence, which is what I started out. He said, if I do, when you call me, you sit there when you are writing your test and you say, Sai Ram, help me Swami, Swami, help me Swami, what is the answer for this mathematics? What is the answer to this? When you are saying Sai Ram to me, if I say, hold on a minute, I'll come back tomorrow, I'm watching football. How would you like that? And when you are doing all sorts of things, talking nonsense with your friends, and I say, okay, this fellow is talking nonsense with his friends, I will listen to his prayer tomorrow when he really means it. How would you like that? If I take the same stance as you, but I don't do that, I answer as soon as you call me. I answer as soon as you call me. So if you want me to respond in the same lightning way that you expect me to, then your life has to change. It has to become disciplined. It has to become more loving. It has to become more seva oriented. So that's what he told my son. So this was for the kids. And coming back to the commitment, that was the reason I started to say about commitment. If we tell the child that we are going to put you in an SSSE class and you are committed to that, then you have to think of the gurus who are family members, who are mothers themselves, who have their own professions, who are taking 4 hours of their Saturday too, which they could spend with their family to come and teach your child. We have to remember those gurus who are sacrificing their time with their families and coming here. That's commitment. So if the teacher is willing to commit her family time to you, then you have to commit your child's time to that teacher. That's all that Swami is asking for. That is the discipline that he expects us. If we want him to to respond in the same way that we expect him to respond. So my mother was doing this, going all over Karnataka, gathering all these ladies and convincing them to start their SSC classes and all that. And once you commit, and I'm sure all the gurus who are here can give you many instances where they say, like just now, in the beginning of the program, that lady said, they prayed and somebody suddenly brought that cradle, they wanted the cradle. You will find Swami's response in many ways. So my mother had to go to a place called Geetha in Karnataka. It's in the northernmost part of Karnataka. Extremely hot place. At that time in the early 70s. It was a very small town. And she had written letters to the district president there at that time saying that I would like to organize, I would like you to organize a small group of ladies to whom I will come and tell them how to do the Bal Vikas program. We will come and train them. We will talk to them. Can you please organize this? So the district president was a very ardent devotee of Swami. He wrote back to my mother saying, no problem, Sister Kamala, please come. We will gather the ladies from the surrounding villages. And you can talk to them how to do the Bal Vikas, and in a small way we will start the classes. So this letter writing went back and forth, and like I said, late 60s, early 70s of India and Bangalore. If he wrote a letter today, it would come 3 weeks later, one little inland cover as they called it, and she would say, okay. So by the time they fixed this one program of gathering a few ladies, it took them, I think, 2 months or something. But like I said, if you commit, Swami is behind you. So anyway, this got done, and my mother, along with 2-3 other ladies who were going to also give talks, a couple of them were teachers, very good teachers, who would tell the ladies how to start the class, how to be disciplined in the class, all that kind of thing. One lady I know was Mrs. Madiman. I don't know if Zaveri auntie knows her. Mrs. Madiman, an older lady, but extremely committed and a wonderful teacher and a bhajan singer. She was there. There was another lady called Sunandamma, who was very good with her artwork and trying to teach the children through art. So there were 3 or 4 ladies, many of them older than my mother. My mother, who was at that time in her 40s or something. So she organized, and so if any of the teachers or the children or the parents feel how difficult it is to drive for 35 minutes on the nice roads of Houston and Dallas and wherever it is, please don't grumble, because I tell you how my mother's trip to be there was. She had to go, first of all, in Bangalore to the city market and then get into the public transportation, because there was nothing else. It was a small town. Get into a public government bus, which is filled with not only human beings but chicken and goat and sheep, which will also travel with you. So with all these animals, these 4 ladies traveled to one place halfway, stayed there overnight in a Sai devotee's house, the second half of the journey, and they arrived in Geetha. And this gentleman, the district president, was supposed to meet them there, had a bullock cart ready for these ladies to take them to that inner village where these women were to be gathered. So this was the arrangement. So they all arrived in this mode of transport in Geetha, get down, and the bus stop was a big tree, a jackfruit tree. They got down, and these 4 ladies, and 3 of them, remember, are older ladies, and they had traveled all day with whatever little food they had carried with them. And also remember, there are no rest areas when you are travelling in those days to stop. There is no place to stop for coffee and sweet vadas anywhere. So they have arrived. They get down from the bus and they look, and there is no district president. They wait, they said he must be delayed because he has to come in a bullock cart right from that village. So we waited, this and that. So in the meantime, they have become the talk of that little village where they have got off, on the outskirts of Geetha. So everybody is coming, who are these ladies? And they look different because they are from the city, dressed a little bit differently from those village women. And they are all sitting there with their trunks or their suitcases under the tree. And they're sitting there, and 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes goes by, half an hour goes by, no district president. So now at this point, it's about 4:30 or 5 in the evening. They don't know what to do. And there is no restaurant or hotel or somewhere there you can go and say, okay, it doesn't matter if it doesn't come, we'll stay here in the night, take the bus back home tomorrow. There is nothing. The the bus stop. The banana guy who is selling something a little bit away is the store. There is nothing there and they are waiting and almost an hour and a half goes by which time Mrs. Madiman auntie, who is a diabetic, starts to feel very hypoglycemic and she starts feeling busy. They sit around and they don't know quite what to do. Okay, where is the next bus? It's going to come tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. So where are you going to stay? Under the tree in some roadside bus stop. So they are sitting there and we have a saying in Kannada, Sankata Bandare Venkataramana. When you are in trouble, call Venkataramana, call the Lord. So they sat there and said, you know what, let us just do the Sathya Sai Ashtotram. Let us do the Ashtotram. I am sure the man will come because he was so clear. So they are going on chanting the Ashtotram. By which time, there is one little shop there. They go and ask him, look, do you have something to eat? Because this lady. And he says, who are you ladies who have come like this in our village, sitting like this with no male companion with you, no male escort? You are coming into our village from the city, we don't know who you are, you go back, the guy says. So this is the old conservative time, so they just sit there and start chanting the Ashtotram. And after a little, about half an hour or 45 minutes, another rickety bus comes along and they are sitting there. And out of this rickety bus, one young gentleman gets out. He is in his early 20s or something. And he goes towards this banana fellow who is selling, to whom he is selling the bananas, to this man. He buys the bananas and suddenly from somewhere he is hearing Om Shri Sai Easwaramma and all this. And he is turning around, who is chanting something, slokas and this and that. And he looks towards the tree and he sees these four ladies. He comes a little closer, he's a little curious and he recognizes my mother. This is one Mr. Murthy from the Adike school in Mangalore. And that man recognized my mother and says, Kamalama auntie, why are you sitting here under the tree and chanting these Ashtotrams in some strange village? So she tells, this has happened, the district president hasn't showed up. We don't know what to do. There's no bus to go back to Bangalore. And these ladies are elderly and there is no food. We've eaten whatever we had brought for lunch. So he says, you eat here. There is one factory guy here whom I know. Let me see if he will think of something. So he goes around this village, finds some man whom he also doesn't know. He's somebody that he has heard of but kind of knows. And he says, look, these ladies I know. Somebody was supposed to come and take them to that neighboring village. Will you help? So he says, I cannot take some four strange ladies to my house and all that. But I have a warehouse where I stack all the grains, the paddy and the wheat and everything. If they want, these ladies can stay there in the night. So thank goodness, there is a shelter. So these four ladies go there and it's all filled with this sacks of rice and wheat and all that. There's a little space. They said, thank goodness. And this poor gentleman who had recognized my mother goes and brings a whole, 6 or 8 bananas and one little dish with milk. And he says, Amma, you please have this for the night. And this thing. But there is no bathroom or anything. These are all elderly 4 ladies. So he says, if you go in the back, there is one small rickety shed there which is used as a bathroom. You can. And then what are they supposed to? They have to stay there. These are all traditional ladies. And in the night it's filled with rats because of all these grains. Can you imagine? So they all sit on the grain bags and they are just saying Sai. So it is an unexpected Akanda Bhajana or Shivaratri for them. They sit there. Of course, not like the Shivaratris and Akanda Bhajanas we celebrate, where we have a variety of food to eat, from pasta to salad to puliyora to everything else. This was 6 bananas and 1 milk. They sat there and did their Akanda Bhajan. They said, at which point my mother started to scold Swami. She says, who cares if some village children learn some slokas or bhajans? Who cares? You asked me to come and do this job. I have come here telling your name. If it was only me, it's one thing. I have the responsibility of these 4 elderly ladies who are all diabetic. There is no food, there is no bathroom. Some guy who was supposed to take us did not show up. And this and that, she scolded Swami sitting there. Who called you Daya Sagara, Karuna Sagara? All these names are listed on you. This is all nonsense. So they all sat and saying, and they were all saying, Amma, why are you saying all this? That man may come and throw us out of this building also. If you start scolding Swami. She says, I don't know. See, my mother had the habit of going to Vrindavan, taking Swami's permission, giving him the program, introducing the ladies that she said, he has blessed us, given us vibhuti, this and that, and here we are stuck in some place. So anyway, this was the Akhanda Bhajan actually. Not bhajans. So they finished. Next day morning, they had somehow, that fellow came and showed them some bathroom which had a tap and all that. They all took a cold water bath there, and they were saying, okay, 11 o'clock the bus comes. We need not worry about Balavikas for this area. Let's go back to Bangalore. They're all ready and they are under the banyan tree. Then suddenly from somewhere they hear, Sai Rama, Sai Rama, Sai Rama, somebody shouting. So who's shouting Sai Rama here? And then they see this bullock cart arriving. And in the bullock cart is not the district president but some 3 other men. Who are you guys and why are you? They said, no, we are shouting Sai Rama because we know that some ladies who have come from Bangalore will recognize us if we say Sai Rama. So they said that we are the 3 ladies. They said, Amma, we are very sorry. The district president, his father passed away somewhere. So he went away and completely forgot to tell us that we were supposed to come and pick you up yesterday. He received a telegram in the night. So we have come, please excuse us and all that. And took them, and of course they had organized these ladies. These ladies were all trained. Of course, Bidar became one of the best Balavikas programs over the years. They finished the training and they came back to Bangalore. So I had a good opportunity to go to Vrindavan the next day after my mother came, because my mother's job was after the program is over, she will also go and tell Swami we went and finished the job there. So she takes these 4 ladies and they are all sitting there. And this gentleman, my mother asked him, why were you here? You know, remember that IK teacher? Why are you here, Murthy? She asked him. So he said, I don't know, Ma. I was sitting in a bus. I was supposed to get down 3 villages before. I was going to visit my cousin. I fell asleep in the bus. And when I woke up, it was this village. I know my village has passed, so I thought I will stay with that friend that helped us with the warehouse. So I got out here. I will have to go back to that village tomorrow. So my mother said, okay, that is why. So we go to Vrindavan the following day and we are all sitting in the line. This has happened. And Swami comes and says, Abba, Akhanda Bhajan chase now. He says, you are Akhanda Bhajan. Who is Daya Sagara? Who is Karuna Sagara? Who is useless names you have? Swami repeated all the scoldings my mother had given in the interview room. Why are you here? He said, did you think why Murthy showed up? I made that fellow sleep for 3 villages so that he gets out at the place that you people, I made that fellow sleep. That too in the middle of the morning, who sleeps? That too one of our teachers from Alikere school, very disciplined fellow. He slept and I made him get out there. Then I sent those Sai Rama people in the bullock cart to come and pick you up. Then I told that fellow, gave him the buddhi to give you the, Swami narrated the whole thing that had happened. We were just sitting in the line. And then actually, he materialized vibhuti and gave it all this. And he said, do you think when you give me your commitment, I am going to leave you high and dry? You may have to face a few difficulties to understand the value of Namasmarana. You may have to face a few difficulties. But do you think I will leave you high and dry? I will never do that. So when these ladies were so committed to whatever work that they wanted to do, and those villagers were so committed to doing Swami's work, Swami never lets you down. So, speaking on the same note of how Swami remembers whatever little commitment that we have given to him. I told you I became a Balavika's guru because my mother started to do all this all over Karnataka. And on one particular occasion, one of the chief ministers of, I think Andhra Pradesh or somebody was going to come. So Swami suddenly came, B.T. Jatti, who was the Vice President of India, was supposed to come. So Swami came to me and said, you know, he is going to be here in 3 days' time. Can you do some program when he comes for 25 minutes or 20 minutes? So you can imagine the Vice President of India is having forgot that the Lord of the universe is there. Now the Vice President is coming, that's very important to us, right? Because he is the chief guest. So Vice President is coming and Swami is giving me 3 days time. I said, Swami, he said, you go home now and think, tomorrow morning you come and tell me what you are going to do. So I quickly went through, I had a whole Balavika's class and I had group 1 children who are all about 5 or 6 years old and I had about 10 of them. So I thought, oh, I know what I will do because these kids, group 1 kids, what can you make them do suddenly in 3 days time, you know? So I said I will do Dashavataram because there are 10 people, we dress them up as Dashavataram, they can all go and stand on the stage. And the group 3 girls who I had very good singers, I had about 8 of them, I will make them Subbalakshmi's Dashavatara Stuti, you know, where MS Subbalakshmi has sung so beautifully. I will make them learn. I knew they can learn in 3 days. They were all quite musically inclined, girls will make that. But there was one girl in group 2 who was a very regular student, her name was Manorama. And she was extremely talented in dramas, but I did not have time to put up a drama in 3 days. So I thought, but she was very good at something called mono acting. I don't know if you all are familiar with this form of mono acting, where one person plays the role of 3 people by just changing a little, change the hat, change the scarf and thing. So she was very good at that. I thought maybe I'll ask her to do mono acting and give the other 3 or 4 kids in group 2 some little position. So I came back the next day and I told him about the Dashavatara idea and I told him that the group 3 children will sing, and even before I opened my mouth, Ade, mono acting undi kada amma cheychu. See, he knows every child in your class. He said, you know the child in your class who does mono acting, make her do it. I said, which shall I do, Swami? He said, the conversation between Hiranyakashipu and Prahalada. She is very good at that. You don't have to teach her, she already knows it. Swami says, you make her do that. So Swami has solved my problem. I came back, got everything done. These kids came, then Sri Jati ji came. We did it also, Swami. And then when the program was over, it was just for about half an hour, 25 minutes. When the program was over, Swami came down. This is in Vrindavan, from that Vedika, from the stage. He came down to me and he said, you just wait till he leaves, till the Vice President leaves. After that, I will bless the children. You wait, he said. So we all waited and Swami took the Vice President inside for dinner and all that. We were waiting. But this one girl, this child Manorama, who did the mono acting, her parents were not devotees and both the parents were doctors. She was just coming to the Balikas because they liked the idea of the SSSC program. They came and told me, sorry Geetha, we cannot wait. We are going to go because my husband is on call and we cannot sit here in Vrindavan because they are already waiting for half an hour. Swami didn't come. So I told her a lot, no, why don't you wait? Swami is going to bless all the children. She said, no, it's okay, we can't, my husband has to go to the hospital. So they left, they took their daughter and they left, the rest of the children were there. And after Sri Jati left, Swami came and gave all the girls, some pens and saris and some boys some shirt material and sweets and everything. And I felt so bad because this was an excellent child who used to come to my class regularly. And I said, Swami, that child who did mono acting, she's not there, Swami. She had to. That was the gesture he did. If she's not here, what can I do about it? I said, Swami, if you give it to me, I will give it to her tomorrow. Swami, or I will bring her here tomorrow, I will try. He said, no. I will give it sometime. He said like that. He didn't give me an extra set, he gave it to all the children. I'll give it sometime, he said. She's not here. So the program got over and these children went back and my SSC class went on. The next class when she came, that poor girl was very sad, she cried because she missed out on thing, Auntie, my parents took me away. Didn't Swami give you? I said, no. He said, he'll give it to you sometime, Manorama. Don't worry. If Swami says he will give it sometime, he will. The days went by, as Swami didn't give it, the days went by, years went by, and then that family moved out of the area where we lived also, and I lost touch with that girl. This happened when I was in 10th grade, okay, or 11th grade, first year PUC as we call. I'm in the second year of my degree. This is almost 4.5 years or 5 years later after this incident. One day Swami came to me in the night and he said, you bring your Balikas children tomorrow for darshan, he told me. It was a Saturday. I used to take my Balikas children sometimes for darshan to Vrindavan. I said, okay Swami, I will bring her. How many children are there? At that point I had some 62 children in my class. We didn't have enough teachers. I used to teach all the groups alone 62 children. So I said, I have 62 children Swami. He said, you bring them. But I involved the group 3 children to help me. It was very nice actually when it was like that. Themselves took a lot of responsibility. And as he was walking away from me, he said, as though it had happened yesterday. That is why we call Bhagavan Kalaya Tasmai Namah. For him, the time does not mean anything. The time is one big thing for him. For us, this is morning, this is afternoon, it's 5 o'clock. He came and said, the girl who did mono acting, you bring her also. The girl who did mono acting, that was 5 years ago. I don't even almost remember her name and I don't know where she lives. They moved. I said, Yogar Swami, are they mono acting? He said, that child who does mono acting, you bring her. I said, Swami, I don't know where she is. She has left the class and she has moved away. See, this is what it is not just about telling what children should be. Swami immediately teaches us what our responsibilities as gurus. You don't know where she is? He said, really Swami, tell you 5 years I couldn't Swami. No, Guru Kadu? He said, are you not a teacher? I said, yes Swami, but she is not in my Balavikas anymore. Guru ante eppudu Guruve. Not now, not when once you are a Guru, you are always a Guru. You must always be in touch with your children. Even if they go away, you should have the love for that child to be in touch with that child. Chappaleda, you didn't talk to her. He made me feel like a worm, really. You don't know where she is. Telida, he went on. No, Swami, I really don't know, Swami. I tried to find out. Now I have to do my research. Who did Manorama know? Where did they live? Where did she? Who will you ask? He said, I don't know, Swami. I have to go to the school that she used to go and maybe immediately I can ask where they took the transfer certificate to some other. Swami looked at me like, by the time you do this, tomorrow morning I am telling you to bring the children for darshan, it's never going to happen, right? So he tells me, 72 Margosa Road, Malleshwaram the Po, he says. He says she is in number 72 Margosa Road, Malleshwaram, you go there and bring her. I said, Swami, you are telling me the address. Nenu kuda Guru, but I keep in touch. I keep in touch. I am also a Guru, but I keep in touch. What a punch, What a beautifully, sweetly, politely given punch. So after Vrindavan, my father drove me to Malleshwaram. Some number Swami is given 172. We searched here and there. Finally, we found one house on 172 Marus. Now we have to go and knock on the door. You see, this is the test of faith that Swami will be. See, the mind has this pendulum. What if Swami has given the wrong number? What will these people think suddenly at 9 o'clock in the night from Vrindavan? My father in white clothes. We are going there. Anyway, he said, we'll go and knock the door. And this girl opens the door, 5 years older than what she was as a little kid in my class. She gives me one look and says, Geetha ka, she says. I said, oh, hello. So now I know this is the same girl. I said, Manorama, I came. She says, why are you here at 9:30 in the night? What is the problem? Then her mother came, father came, everybody who's come at the door at 9:30 in the night. And he said that, look, tomorrow I'm taking my Bharavika's children for darshan. Can you please send Manorama for darshan? And they are doctors, you know. They said, oh, tomorrow morning. Then we told them what had happened. Swami said like this. He gave us, they were so shocked. He gave our address to you? He said, yes. He said, we are attending bhajans here also, you know. We don't mind, we go to bhajan anywhere. He said, can you please send her? He has specifically requested. Then the father said, I will bring her, don't worry, I'll come directly to Vrindavan. So there we are in Vrindavan next day with all the children sitting there. This girl comes and sits. She's not at that Balika's age anymore. She has already joined medical school or something. So she sat down there and Swami comes and he brings some sweets and things to be distributed to the children, and this girl is sitting a little away because she is older than the Balikas, and in his hand is a sari, that box of pens that he had given 5 years ago to those children, and that some box of sweets. Because come here, he says in Hindi, I didn't give you that day, isn't it? As though that day was yesterday. I didn't give you that day. She said, no, Swami. That girl was very devoted to Swami. No, Swami. He said, yes, your parents took you away, isn't it? Yes, Swami. So he says, you're joining medical school, right? June 1st? Yes, Swami. Here is the pen. You go and write your medical exams. Sari, sweets, restaurant. See, your teacher didn't know the address. I knew your address. So this is the commitment that we have to give in our lives to anything good that we want to do. Whether it is in the temple or whether it is in the science center or wherever it is. And these were some of the lessons that I learned throughout my life while I had the good fortune of Swami teaching me directly. But it was not that simple. He would catch you in a minute if something was not okay. I have always told you about, I think some of you may have heard, I told you about my student here in the US, in Maryland. I was a kindergarten teacher, as the brother was saying, for many, many years in the same school, loved being a teacher, enjoyed it, taught for many years. And then one year, you know how all teachers, many of you may know, before the classes start in the fall, you go a couple of days ahead of time, set up your class, put the labels for your children, all of those things here. And so Swami had told me, you continue to teach half a day. You go after the children leave for school and you come back before your children come back. So that was the job. So I taught kindergarten one half of, in those days the kindergarten was 2 sessions. So I taught only 1 session. So I went there one day and I was setting up my class before the classes started. And the 4-year-old classroom teacher, they have a pre-kindergarten in the school system. She came and said, hi, Mrs. Geetha. I said, hi. She said, getting ready? I said, yes. And her assistant teacher also came. She said, well, better get ready. Come with an armor when you start, she said. I said, why should I come with an armor? What are you guys talking about? She said, well. In all the teachers' meeting, you keep talking about how loving we have to be to the kid. You're going to change your mind, she told me. This teacher. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, get ready. Starting September, right after Labor Day, you'll be getting a monster in your class. I said, what are you saying? So she said, yes, we've got this little fellow who's going to come. Be ready. He's going to break your limbs and your kids' limbs in your class. I said, come on guys, you're kind of making a little too much of a 6-year-old, right? Have fun. Because they, in all the teachers' meetings, and because I had taught in that school for a long time, a lot of the refresher programs I used to do for the teachers. And I would always say that the children feel the love that the teacher emanates, So you have to do that. So they, I think, were sick of hearing it, honestly, in my teaching refresher program. So she says, well, good luck with that. He's going to come, be ready, he's going to come. So they had kind of warned me so much about this kid. So here I am, the first day of school, all very excited as a teacher, welcoming the parents, welcoming the kids. And I had done a parent-teachers meeting before, so I knew some. So they were all coming, and I was getting ready. I had some activities set out for them to do so that I could welcome all the parents. And every child is going and sitting where his name is and sitting with those activities. And this child, that they had mentioned comes, and mother says, I'm Mrs. Geetha, I just want to tell you, he's a little bit of a difficult child ever since we got divorced, but please, if you need any help from me, let me know. Poor mother, she was so apologetic even before the child was in my class. I said, don't worry about this ego, because I had been teaching for 30 years and I was a good teacher and I had gotten so many awards. What's a 5-year-old, right? To my experience, I was like, don't worry about it, he'll be fine. I told the mother, and she said goodbye. I showed him where he was to go. He went and sat down. Couple of other kids are coming, and he came with a bang. Literally, he had picked up a chair and crashed it on another kid's head. The chair was in pieces, the kid was bleeding. This is the first day of my class in kindergarten. And that was the year I started to question my ability as a teacher. I started to question I questioned everything that there was to be questioned. Every day there was an accident in my class. Every day. And other parents would complain because their kids were getting hurt. There was no way I could control this child. Nothing. Every bit of training that I had, every bit of learning that this Swami had given me about loving kids, everything that I tried failed. Just completely failed. And I'm like, you know what, Swami, you've got to change your teaching a little bit. Every kid is not lovable. Next time I come to Puttaparthi, I want to tell you this. This is what I'm thinking. This whole business, no. You should see this kid. This is how I'm talking to him while I'm driving to work. You should see this kid, Swami. It's impossible to deal. And you have a reputation in the school. You're known that your class is very good. Everything. All the parents were complaining. The director was saying, Geetha, what can we do about this? I talked to the parents. Everything that I knew I did. I talked to the parents. And the child came from a broken home, so the parents were playing against each other using the kid. I talked to the father, I talked to the mother. So I said, this is not possible. I cannot deal with the stress anymore. So it was a Thursday morning. I went into my puja room and I was getting ready to leave for school. And I told Swami's picture, I have my prayer room. And I said, you know what? I have utterly failed with this kid. As a teacher, I don't know what to do with him, really. I really don't know what to do with him. And children are getting hurt. I can't do this anymore. This is what I told Swami in the puja room. I said, I just want to remind you, you are my teacher. So if I fail, you failed, okay? But this is what I said to Swami in the puja. I failed, you failed, And I just came in the puja room and I went to the school that day. And I had my resignation written. I have decided that I'm going to resign. I can't deal with this anymore. And my husband, men are so nice and calm, they don't have to deal with this, right? Every day I was coming home and complaining to my husband. And I was like, instead of complaining so much, can't you talk to somebody? I'm like, excuse me, I've already done that. Talk to the father. Already done that. Didn't you read something about how to deal with challenged children? Did that. So, these were the kind of help that he was giving me, which wasn't working anyway. So it was causing friction in the house also. So I went to school that day with my resignation letter in my purse, and in the car I said, you know what, you told me to be a teacher, you're in the wrong. You are my teacher, you're in the wrong. So all this mental conversation arrived in the school, and I was going straight to the office of the headmistress to give my resignation letter, but she was not there. The room was locked. Her office room was closed, and she had somebody in there. So I went to my class. And my class had windows all around, all the 3 walls were glass. So I could see the cars when they came, when anybody parked. And this, when you can't deal with something, we start becoming really different people. And I was like, oh my God, everybody in my class got chicken pox. This kid did not. Everybody got strep throat. This kid, there in the school. There is not a day when you could get a relief from this school. No, I'm just telling that I really changed into some other human being that I couldn't recognize myself because I couldn't deal with the stress, And even the kids sense it, the kids sense. listens. If you love them, listens. If you're angry with them, listens. And as soon as the kid's car came, then, Miss Geetha, he's here. The other kid warned me. Anyway, that day, Miss Geetha, the kid's here. The mother come and done everything. And I said, I'm going to have to talk to you. She said, okay. And he came in. He was a beautiful, handsome fellow. He was so verbal, he could read, he could speak so well. This whole psychological thing had bothered him about the pen. He walked in that day, and you see, when you have reached your limit, and I told Swami that day, you know what, you're my teacher, I failed, you do whatever you want with this kid. I had said. He walks in, and I said, hello, and he, good morning. He said, good morning, do you like my clothes? Do you like my Nike shoes? And do you like my clothes? I said, wow, you're looking handsome. He said, yeah, aren't I handsome today? I said, yeah, you're handsome, but it's not enough to be handsome on the outside. You've got to be handsome on the inside. He looked at me for a minute and he walked away. And I'm kind of, at the back of my mind, waiting for somebody's head to be beaten up, right? So your eyes are like on the back of your head, something is going to happen. He's going to break the window or somebody's leg or something, and I'm welcoming other children and I'm waiting for something to crash. Nothing crashes. He comes back after about 5 minutes and he says, what does that mean? I said, what does what mean? What does being handsome inside mean, Miss Geetha? Duh. So I said, well, it just means it's not, and I'm like, okay, what did I mean? What did I say? I mean, I just said it, right? I haven't planned this conversation. So I said, well, it just means that you have to be nice inside. It's not enough to wear nice clothes and look handsome. You've got to be handsome inside. It means you just have to be very nice. He said, oh, does that mean I can't beat Ryan up today? I said, no, it means that you cannot beat Ryan up today. He walks away. And after about 15 minutes, nothing has crashed yet. He comes back and says, well, I really feel like breaking that car over Brittany's head. I don't like the way she's talking to me. Shall I do that? Is that handsome or not handsome? That is not handsome. Oh, this handsome thing is like boring, he told me, and he walked off. So, throughout the day, every time this kid felt the urge to do something really violent, he would come to me and check with me. Is this handsome? I said, not handsome. Okay, you make some sounds and walk. So in the meantime, remember I have that resignation letter in my purse, right, which I'm now going to give at the end of the day. So the school day gets over and I go to the office with the intention of giving, and our headmistress has a little note saying, bye everybody, going on vacation for a week. So she's not there and I can't leave it on her desk. I was like, okay, if I put up with it for 6 months, I can put up with it for another week. And this is Thursday, so I go home, come back on Friday. And on Friday, I have a repeat of yesterday, which is, I'm going to punch. Miss Geetha, is that handsome? No. Okay, one punch. So this just, so somehow, see, this sentence that Swami made me say without meaning to say anything, hit that child somewhere in his heart. So throughout Friday this went on, and then the weekend, thank goodness. Monday morning, we are out there in the playground, and he's like, Miss Geetha, 2 kids over there, not being handsome, Brian taking Brittany's hair in his hands and pulling it. So now he started to monitor the other kids for handsomeness for me. So every other second, Miss Geetha, someone's not being handsome. Ooh, this is a caterpillar walking, I'm going to step on it. Is that handsome? No. Okay, let that caterpillar go. I'll feed it to the bird. So this went on. So this person, my principal was gone for vacation for 2 weeks. And here is this kid learning how to be handsome for 2 weeks. And I couldn't resign. At the end of 2 weeks, I couldn't recognize him anymore. Because he could just tell me very quickly if something was bothering him, he would come and ask me, and it became like a self-check for him. And then 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from his counselor. The parents were taking him for counseling, and she says, "Can I speak to some lady called Mrs. Geetha in your school?" So the principal's back, and I go there, the headmistress. So I guess she says, this boy's counselor wants to speak to you. So she said, "Are you the lady who told him to be handsome?" So I said, "Oh Lord, now this counselor is saying, why are you teaching him all sorts of things which you're not." I said, "Why? What is he doing?" He says, "No, he's telling me that he cannot do some bad things because he has to be handsome all the time for Miss Geetha." So I didn't understand, but his behavior has changed in the counseling group. So I told her what had happened, and she said, "Oh wow, you seem to have hit some nerve there and it's working, so I'm going to start telling him how to be handsome." Then the mother comes to me and says, "Did you say something about being handsome?" Because, he suddenly changed his behavior. So this went on for another couple of weeks. And his whole behavior changed, And what had said, this was in September, he started in my class. February, March, around spring, he had completely changed. And I did not put that resignation. The director said that, he's doing something, you did something, just don't give it up, finish the year and stuff. So it went on. The year got finished. And by the end of the year, he had become my best kid in the class because he was so good with the reading, and he would help the children who couldn't read. He would help the children. He would be there at the end of the class saying, "Miss Geetha, you want me to carry? Do you think if I carry your heavy bag of books to your car is kind of a handsome thing?" "Yeah, it's a very handsome thing." So he would carry my books. So this went on the whole year, and he changed. And he finished my kindergarten and went on. And the teachers next door, remember the teachers who told me that I had a monster, said, "What did you do to hypnotize that kid?" I didn't hypnotize that kid. So anyway, the year got over. The summer, the following year, I went to Puttaparthi. I go there, and Swami sweetly calls me in for an interview with my parents and children, and I enter the interview room, and he closes the door, goes and sits on his chair and says, "Rowdy ela unnadu?" He says, "How is the rowdy in your class?" And I look at him like that. The rowdy where I was a failure as your teacher. Remember you told me I am your teacher and I was a failure and you were a failure and I need to get a different profession. How is that rowdy? Swami, he has changed. Swami has. See? There is divinity in everyone. When you appeal to that divinity within him, the divinity within you responds, and that kid changed. So whenever you see anything that's a problem with your own child, in your school, in your thing, then you commit yourself and you say, "And of course, I helped you because then you said I was a useless teacher." So that and so many lessons that I learned that we keep forgetting that Swami is with us, and once we give the commitment and we stick to it, even if we scold him, he's like, "Okay, I see your problem, I'm going to help you." He's going to help you with that. So that's how I learned as a teacher. And as a mother, of course, parents have such a huge responsibility bringing up their future generation of this world. So he said, it's a three-legged stool, right? The teachers, the child, as well as the parents. Together, you have to work together. So this is what I learned with Swami at his lotus feet throughout my life. And then, of course, years passed, I taught SSA, I came here to the US, I brought up my own kids. And discipline was one of the things that he absolutely emphasized with my own children. He said, if you don't practice discipline yourself, you cannot tell your child to practice discipline. If you say it's okay to skip the bhajan today because there is a football game or whatever it is, then you cannot tell your child the same thing. So whatever you want your child to practice, you're going to have to practice yourself. That I learned as a parent, from Swami. You're going to have to give yourself to the child. And, he reminded me, especially towards the end of his avataric mission, when my children were born, he named them Arun and Varam. And when I had taken them for their naming ceremony to Puttaparthi, Swami called us and he named them. And he carried both the children. I have twins, so he had both the children in his hands, and he said, "You brought me 2 boys. What do you want in return? What gift do you want in return?" he asked me. You know, it was much later that it occurred to me that Swami was telling me that they are given to you on loan, you know. So he said, "You have brought me 2 children. What do you want in return?" I said, no. I automatically assumed, you know, ring and chain and pendant. So I said, no, Swami, I don't want anything. No, you tell me what you want. So I said, I want Shraddha and Bhakti for the children, Swami. Sincerity and devotion. That's all I want for the children. Please give them that. They were just starting on the 3rd month. Swami had told me, as soon as 2 months completes, 3rd month start, you bring them, I will name them. Swami is such a loving mother. My room on W West Prashanti is on the 2nd floor. But when we arrived in Puttaparthi, near the Gopuram gate, in those days there was a gentleman called Suraya who used to look after accommodation, just like Uncle Unni now. And he was standing near, Swami told him, Geetha is coming with her 2 babies, you stand near the Gopuram gate, you give her a room on the ground floor while she is here because she has to carry 2 babies to the 2nd floor. Now we have a lift there. Every time I see the lift, I think of Swami's words. She has to carry 2 children to 2 floors. Give her a room on the ground floor. So we were in the ground floor and Swami called us in and he said, I'll do the naming ceremony tomorrow. And I told him, I want Shraddha and Bhakti for my children, Swami. He said, oh, Anta Sulabhamma. Is it so easy? I said, whatever you want me to do, I'll do, Swami. I just want that. He said, you know, I'll tell you, if you follow that, they will learn that. I said, what? You have to treat your children as though they were your neighbor's jewels. I said, what? I didn't understand. What does that mean, Swami? I don't understand. He said, supposing you want to go to a wedding, you forgot to go to the locker. You know, Swami knows all our womanly problem. You forgot to go to the locker. You didn't bring your diamond necklace. So what will you do? You have your best friend says you can wear my necklace and go, it's okay for 1 day. So she gives you her diamond necklace, you wear it and you go to the wedding. It was like, I'm asking for Shraddha, Bhakti, Swami is talking about diamond necklace. You wear it and you go to the wedding. Yes, Swami. So he says, when you go there, everybody will say, Geetha, such a nice necklace. Will you tell everybody, no, this is not mine, mine is in the locker, this is my neighbor's. No, you say, thank you. So you will pretend that it is yours. When everybody compliments you, you say, thank you. You won't say it's your neighbor's necklace, you will come home. But you will be very careful with it. Because if you lose it, she says, let neighboring lady keep quiet. If you lose it, so you are very careful. Because if you lose it and even if you get a new one, that friend will say, my diamonds were slightly bigger. Slightly better. So Swami said, you know, from Bapa Lal in Chennai, she'll say, the diamonds are from there. You bought it in Krishna Chitti in Bangalore, not real diamond. So you have to be very careful. So you'll be careful and then she'll come after 2 days, waiting over, enjoy it. I said, thank you very much. Everybody said the diamond necklace was very much. You won't tell her that you did not tell them that it was her necklace. You will say thank you very much. Everybody said the necklace very nice. You give it to her, she did. Will you cry then because you gave the necklace to her? No, Swami, it's her necklace. Okay. The children are given to you as precious diamonds. While they are with you, you have to nurture them and look after them like Bapalal diamonds. They are yours for that period of time. You have to. But when the time has come for them to grow up and lead their own life, you have to back off and allow them to grow. No, Shraddha Bhakti, if you do that, you will also learn detachment. They will also learn Shraddha and Bhakti and become God. So as a mother, he taught me this beautiful, how to bring up my child. Don't be so obsessive over your child that you become useless. But bring them up with care, but be ready to say, okay, now I have given them everything that I can possibly give them in terms of a dharmic life to lead. And then let them lead their life. That is what mother. This is what is being a guru. That is what is being a mother. So all these beautiful lessons he had taught me when I gave my children their names. In the last interview that I had with Swami in 2010, not knowing that soon his physical form would leave, he performed the marriage of my son also in Vrindavan, in Puttaparthi. And the other son, he chose a Maharashtrian girl. She says, she's my child. She grew up in my school. Parents live in Houston. You have your second son, marry that girl. You know, with Swami's grace, to some extent I think I had practiced it. Both my sons, they didn't know these girls. They had never seen their pictures. They grew up here in America. Swami said, Emra, cheskuntava? If you say, we will marry Swami. So, without even meeting the girls or knowing, Swami said, you go and marry. And he said, those girls are very good, you marry them, Swami will be with you. So they got married and they are happily living their lives. But in 2010, when he did my second son's marriage, they got married in Nanded. She's a Maharashtrian girl, and Swami had asked me to bring them to the interview room. And as we sat down near his chair, Swami said, Shraddha Bhakti Lochanaya. What he had told me 28 years ago, he asked me, did they learn Shraddha and Bhakti? I said, Swami, you have to tell me that. Without Shraddha and Bhakti, in this day and age, growing up in America, will they marry the girl that I told them without meeting her? Vachai kada? I said, if you say so, Swami, manchi mother ga unti. He said, you are a good mother. So for me, those are the most valuable award that I got. Of all the hundreds of awards they gave me as a teacher, this award that I had been able to a small extent practice what he had said. So having said this, and I have probably taken more time than I should, I will leave you with one last desire of Swami's. That sounds so odd. One last desire of Swami's that he reminded me also on that day when he said in 2010, they learned Shraddha Bhakti. At that time, he was speaking very freely. It was so difficult to hear him, you know. It was difficult to hear him. But he reminded me, do you remember when you became a teacher, what I told you? He asked me very softly. Yes, Swami, I said. And I want to just read that because it applies to us as teachers, mothers, as parents. Swami's words in Telugu and I will translate. Gunamu konchamundi goppa chaduvulunna palamademi vaani viluvademi pantaleni bhumi padi ekaramulunna konchamaina chalu manchi bhumi. He says. The meaning, gunamu konchamundi goppa chaduvulunna palamademi. If you have gunamu konchamundi, if you have very few internal good values, if your values are few, but you have a lot of degrees, what is the use of that? Gunamu konchamundi, little of gunas. Goppa chaduvulunna, if you have lot of degrees. Palamademi, vaari viluvademi, what is the value or what is the use of such degrees? Pantaleni, and it is equal to this, he says, Pantaleni bhumi padi ekaramulunna. You may have 10 acres of land which is not fertile, where you cannot grow anything. Konchamaina chalu manchi bhumi. Even if there is a small piece of land which is fertile, that is better than having 10 acres of useless land where nothing grows. In the same way, all the degrees that you earn or all the money that you earn, the wealth that you earn, that if you have no character, that is what he reminded me because I was still teaching at that time. And then One last thing I will share with you all. I just thought I should tell you that because as parents, especially living in a Western country, we always feel the desire to give everything to our children. Whatever we don't have, we want our children to have. But then we have to ask ourselves, is it the 10 acres or is it the half acre? What is it that we want them to have? So that is what I thought I should leave you with. But I will leave with one last desire that Swami has. This was in his 40th birthday. I think somebody was telling me about Swami's 60th birthday. You are all so much more younger than I am. This was in Swami's 40th birthday. I was still a kid in Swami's 40th birthday. But I remember Swami's face and his movements and how fast he used to walk. Swami is such an impactful personality. If you saw him once, you could never forget him. So it was his 40th birthday. We were all kids. And this is for the kids here as well. As kids, we saw that all the elders were doing so many things for Swami. You know, they would put the rangoli for Swami. This is old Puttaparthi. There was a shed in the place of Purna Chandrahar with 1 or 2 lights, you know, bulbs hanging from a wire. So hot, so hot. Swami used to sit there in that shed for the Navaratri celebrations and he would continuously fan himself. He would be sweating. And we would be sweating, sitting in Shivaratri all night long in that shed. It had zinc sheets, you know, in those days. And we would see Swami feeling so exhausted, especially during the Navaratri and then giving discourses, Shivaratri and all that. And we would see the elders tying the Toranam, putting the Rangoli, cooking for Swami, doing the Narayan Seva, cooking for hundreds of villages. My aunts and everybody in that old Patashala that Swami had on the way, now it has become the road to go to the stadium. But there used to be a Patashala, that was the first educational institution when Swami started the Veda Patashala. They used to cook there to do the Narayan Seva. We used to see them and all of us kids, you know, youngsters, no Balavikas or anything for us, only Swami was our Guru. And he used to tell us stories and everything. We all wanted to say, we want to give Swami something for his birthday, something we wanted to give for him, what to give. So some little intelligent, slightly older cousin came away, we should give a fan to Swami. Swami doesn't have a fan. It's so hot in that shed. Let's get him a fan. So we all said, oh, that's a great idea, let's get him. So all the girls, you know, got together. And we have a custom in Karnataka, you know, for Gauri festival, the day before Ganesh Chaturthi, the girls are all given money as gifts, you know, from their brothers. So we said, you know, we can all gather the money from the Gauri festival and buy a fan. And, you know, all the boy cousins said, okay, we will also, whatever little money, we were all kids, 9 years, 10 years, 14 years, gathered some money, took the help of some elders and bought one white pedestal fan. So we have to transport it to Puttaparthi. I mean, transporting it to Puttaparthi was such a, you know, you have to come in a train from Bangalore. First of all, go to that place, you know, and all our elders are all very old-fashioned, conservative. Oh, you don't make everybody touch the fan. I say you have to take it to Swami, cover it nicely because it will get dirty, this and that. So we tied up some white bed sheets, took it to the station. That narrow gauge train, you know, even the cyclist will be overtaking the train. The train is so slow, narrow gauge. By the time you reach Penakonda at 2 o'clock in the night, and you have to jump out of the train in 2 minutes. With all our trunks, we had to get, anyway, did all that, arrived in Krishnapalli. And Swami, it was still Navratri, Swami's birthday celebrations had to start. We were all getting ready. And then, who is to bell the cat? Somebody has to take Swami's permission to put that fan. So, who is to ask that? I was a little thing and I used to talk a lot and get into trouble because of that. So they said, Geetha, you go to Swami, you ask Swami, you ask. Because if I get into trouble, it will be me. So these older cousins were very smart, you know. So you ask Swami, because Swami was not accepting gifts and all that. So at dinner time, you know, upstairs Swami, when we finished dinner in the night, we would all stand around that circular staircase, kids. And Swami would call and give us Namaskar. So one by one we were all going, hey Vidya, all of you are standing today. Swami knows what you are all standing here to ask me day before my birthday. Swami, we have something for you, Swami. You must accept it, Swami. Hey, gift. You brought a gift for me like a child, you know, Swami brought a gift for me. And see, true teacher, who gave you the money for the gift? Where did the money come from? He said. See, nowadays parents don't know when the child brings something to the house and keeps it in the room. Parents don't even know that the child has brought something home. They are so disconnected. But Swami asked, who gave you the money to buy the gift? Because we are all so small. Where is the money? So he said, Swami, Gauram Pandit, you all got from Gauri Festival. How many could be? Here is it. Swami, we have kept it in the shed, Swami. It's over there. It is there now. Yes, Swami, you must use it tomorrow, Swami. Please, Swami, you must use it, Swami. Everybody, Swami. So, you all heard the college students saying, Swami, please, Swami, please, Swami, please, Swami. They will be chanting in the veranda. The same thing we were saying, Swami, please, Swami. There is it. Oh, come, show me. Can I see now? Because tomorrow I will be very busy. Yes, Swami. So Swami had this huge flashlight. In those days, no lights in Prashanti Nilayam. We had to go with the lantern. So Swami had this flashlight. Only Swami's building had light from the generator room. So he took the flashlight and like one Pied Piper of Hampton, we were all behind him, the kids. Swami is running, going so fast to the shed and he puts on the light there. This fan all covered up in white bedsheet, tied. He said, this looks like a bhutam. Like some kind of a monster you have brought. What is this? Because, no, Swami. So somebody cuts it up. Fan the chara, naka, is this one? Yes, Swami, tomorrow you must use, Swami. It's so hot in Puttaparthi. Okay, I will use it. Thrilled beyond words. Somehow they have made Swami accept a gift. Then we are all very happy. We come and tell the elders, see, you people are not even able to give Swami some sweets. We people made him accept a fan. Everybody was happy. Next day, sure enough, we are all sitting in the hall, all the bhajan singers in the usual setup, bhajan singers, okay. All the bhajan singers are all sitting. Swami is going to come now. Easwaramma will come to do, Yanesh and that oil she used to put. We are all ready for everything. Swami comes, bhajan has started. Swami also comes, he came and this fan, we have put it behind Swami's chair where nobody can see. And that poor fellow, one of my cousins was supposed to operate the fan there on the stage. Poor fellow got so many instructions, he was like a nervous wreck. Don't put it too much close. If Swami's hair blows in the air, he will stop it. He won't use it. He doesn't like his hair. So put it very slowly. Don't keep it where everybody can see. Then Swami will say, don't put it. So we put some pots to hide it. You sit behind the plant so that nobody can see you. As soon as poor fellow, like I do not want to handle this fan. But he was the only guy there. We girls can't go on the street. We put him there. So he was sitting there. Swami sits down and this fellow is about the bed. Why is this fellow taking so long to turn on the fan? About it, Swami gets up, goes behind the pots, picks up the fan, brings it to the front of the stage and turns it towards these bhajan singers. Oh my gosh, you can imagine our anger. These bhajan singers, they are always fighting. They won't let us sing. That is the background. They won't let us sing in functions. They only want to sing all the time. All elders. They only want to sing all the time. And to these people, Swami is giving the fan. What a waste of our Gauravamma Pandaka money. All our money being wasted on these people. So we are all looking at each other, all having all this angry thoughts. Swami turns the fan. And function goes on nicely. The bhajan singers are getting fan. Over function. So in the night, after birthday, again, our caterpillar is standing there in the circular steps. Swami is sitting there, dinner is over. Again he comes there. We are all standing. No happy birthday, Swami. This is what everybody for my birthday drank castor oil and came here. All have had castor oil and you came here. Why are you all standing like this? So, Swami, you didn't use the fan, Swami. You probably used Chesan and Chula. He said, I used it. You didn't see it? No, Swami, you didn't use it. I used it. Didn't you see? All the bhajan singers, they have to sing for so long. I put the fan for them. No, Swami, we didn't bring for bhajan singers. We brought it for you. Oh, really? You never give me anything I want. What is so great about this fan? No, Swami. It was at that time, Swami gave this beautiful stanza. సాయి అర్ధించు మీ నుండి సద్గుణములు, సర్వమానవ సోదర సఖ్యభావం, సఖ్య బుద్ధి, స్వార్థ త్యాగం, పరిశుద్ధ సంఘ సేవ. సాయికిచ్చేది ధనమిదే బంగారు, సాయికిచ్చేది ధనమిదే సత్యములను. సాయి ఆర్ధించు మీ నుండి సద్గుణములు. The gift that Sai wants from you is the gift of good qualities and character. Sarva Manava Sodara Sakhya Buddhi, all friendship towards all mankind. Swartha Tyagam, giving up of selfishness. Parishuddha Sangha Seva. Sangha Seva is Seva, but not just Seva. Parishuddha Sangha Seva, pure Seva, where there is no selfishness, fame, name involved. Parishuddha Sangha Seva. Sai Kichedi Dhanamide Satyamuganu. This is what truly the gift that I want from you. I will read it again because the words are so powerful. Some of you may know Telugu. Sai Ardinchu మీ నుండి సద్గుణములు, సర్వమానవ, సర్వమానవ, ఆల్ హ్యుమానిటీ, సర్వమానవ సోదర సఖ్య బుద్ధి, friendship towards all mankind. Swartha tyagamu, giving up your selfishness. Parishuddha Sangha Seva, pure and united Seva. Sai Kichedi Dhanamide. This is the Dhanamu, this is the wealth, this is the gift that Sai wants. Satyamuganu. Truthfully I tell you, this is the gift that I want. When you are able to give this gift, I will accept from you whatever you give me. I am still struggling, brothers and sisters, to give the gift that he wants. But at least on Easwaramma Day, as parents, as gurus, as a community that is with the children, not only do we have to look at ourselves and try to change ourselves, so that we can become examples to the children who are watching us. Thank you so much for listening to me and giving me this opportunity to think of him again and again. It is a great gift that he has given me to do his Namasmara. Thank you for Sathya and all of the people here in Dallas to have me come here. Sorry.